we chatted about the idea, and what do you think about doing that with what I told you about it and the connections that people have in regards to the dead still continuing to have feelings and thoughts about what happened?
Well, obviously it's an intriguing little story, and it is a churchman. We're always dealing with these rites of passage and stuff, and this is one of them. This is death, and I think in particular of all the rites of passages that we like to dwell on, like sweet 16s, birthdays, and marriages, sometimes in the church baptism and stuff. The one that our culture loves to avoid is death. And so an interesting thing though is that I know that many of the clergy, actually their preference over doing marriages or doing well, baptisms are usually loved, but over a lot of the other services, public services that we conduct for people at large, people that don't normally come to church, funerals are often the favorite. And it seems like a strange statement to make for a priest, but there's a lot of the other things that there's an accountability over what these people go on to do with their lives. There's a finality to death. And I think that's where the clergy, as much as it's not a happy time, it's one of the services that they're most comfortable with, because it's, yes, the dead are gone, and there is cleanup work to be done with those who are left behind, but all in all, they're not going to get themselves in any more trouble on your watch. They're dead now. So it's a ministry to the other people in a very strange way. It's not primarily about the person that has brought everyone together. It's primarily about the survivors and how they make sense of life. An interesting side note, I'm sure you're quite aware that in the church we regularly pray for people to rest in peace. I've always found that very interesting, because you wouldn't pray for them to rest in peace if you thought that perhaps they wouldn't. Do you see what I'm saying? You don't pray for something that you're not concerned about, right? Yeah, I don't know if that means we believe in the zombie apocalypse, but but do you see what I'm saying? There is a certain concern that the dead are not going to rest in peace.
Is there more of a concern depending on the situation of how they passed away?
No, I think that there's an acknowledgement that for those of us that are here alive, I think there is an acknowledgement that many times around the finality of death, there's a real, there's usually unfinished business. And I think in many ways it's a prayer that the dead can let go of life and the things that they may or may not have done during life.
In this script, the people that died, they died in a car accident. So that isn't something that's really natural.
No.
That's man-made. So because of that, would they be in more of a point of being unresolved?
Well, probably. I mean, there is a certain abruptness, unexpectedness, and finality to death in a tragic accident, like a car accident or something. So yes, of course, there's going to be unresolved business. I mean, nobody wakes up in the morning and thinks, even though this may be a good exercise, I may die today. Is there any words I need to say to anybody? Is there anything I'd like to resolve before I take one step forward? You hear always a tragic story of somebody leaving the last conversation I had with so-and-so was a fight. We were arguing over the lease payments on the car or something stupid. And they've realized that was their final words to this person, were words of bitterness and anger over something fairly irrelevant in the grand scheme of life. But that being said, I don't think any of us spend much time contemplating our own mortality. And so even there's those that are dragged to death's door kicking and screaming, and spent so much time kicking and screaming that they've not made their peace. That's hard.
Yeah, there isn't only one answer to it.
No.
I think that's why, in the script, we don't really give a final answer to that. Does that seem, I'm trying to make it as real as possible in that regard. But do you find that a lot, that if someone asks you a question about it, how do you even go about that? I mean, you can't give a final answer, can you? As to how to deal with it.
No, there is no proper way to deal with it. People go through a wide range of emotions and experiences when they're trying to cope and understand with what death is. But again, we're also a generation that hates to admit our own limitations. But we can't see that far. We can't comprehend it. It's in the realm of things that are beyond us. We make sense of it as best we can using signs and symbols, and sooner or later, time usually eases the pain.